that jerk is just those type of guys, they throw a rock over the fence and they run home behind their mama's skirt. And that's exactly who that dirtbag is. And he ought to be pulled in jail, and he ought to spend some quality time there.
How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about GOP House reps who claim that their wives have received threatening phone calls over their vote or lack thereof for Jim Jordan as the Speaker of the House. Now, as of right now, it's about 1:30 p.m. on Friday, October the 20th, 2023, and there was a third vote for Jim Jordan, which failed, and it was even worse than the second time, which was worse than the first time. I think he has 25 Republicans voting against him as of right now. I don't know how he's going to be able to get everybody on the same page. You got to get to 217 to confirm. He's at like 190 something. It does not look very good for Jim Jordan. And apparently, people are alleging that Jordan's allies in the House and some regular normies are threatening wives of GOP House reps to get Jim Jordan in there. Now, if that's true, I don't know how that fixes anything. I don't know how threatening somebody to vote or not vote for a particular person will actually make them do it. I don't know how that works. Now, before I go any further, let's look at a couple articles. Then we're going to get into some video and some audio of the alleged threatening phone calls. And if you want to see or hear anything, link will always be in the box. Now, what I played for you at the beginning was House Rep Tim Burchett from Tennessee talking about what's happening with House Rep Don Bacon, because somebody was calling his wife, threatening her about his lack of vote for Jim Jordan. You see the headline, Rep Bacon, Don Bacon says his wife slept with a loaded gun after ugly phone calls over his speaker vote. Now, before I get into anything else, I just want to say that this may be some falsehoods. It's just allegations, but I think there is some truth to it. All right. But sometimes things aren't always what they seem. Now, here's another person, Congressman Ferguson, Drew Ferguson, says that somebody is calling his wife, calling his home, threatening him over the Jim Jordan vote. So you have multiple guys in the House saying that they have received threatening phone calls. Now, let's get into Don Bacon. You're going to hear from him directly and hear some phone call, a message of a phone call that he received. And again, if you want to hear this or see this without my commentary, link as always will be in the description. But without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
And here's how local representatives voted. Iowa Representative Randy Feenstra and Nebraska Representatives Mike Flood and Adrian Smith voted for Jim Jordan. Nebraska Representative Don Bacon voted for Kevin McCarthy. Bacon and his wife Angie were college sweethearts. She's appeared in a few campaign ads and at events, but where she finds herself now is unenviable. The target of anonymous messages because of her husband's votes. He talked to 3 News Now reporter Alex Whitney earlier today.
After a second failed vote on Wednesday to name Jim Jordan as House Speaker, Republicans are no closer to narrowing down who will lead the House majority. One of those Republicans still holding out is Nebraska's Congressman Don Bacon.
What we saw was a very small minority vacate the Speaker and then defeated Scalise. And you can't have a minority of the majority run the House. And that's what's going on. So in principle, I just said I can't do it.
Now, what he said right there, whether you agree with Kevin McCarthy being the Speaker or not, what he said was correct. You had a very small minority. First, it was just one person that put forward the motion to get Kevin McCarthy out as Speaker. Then it was just 8 people who voted in the GOP to get him out of the way. Now, some are going to say, well, the Democrats voted too. The Democrats are not going to vote for a Republican Speaker at all. They're not going to help you get out of the situation. It's all on us. So leave the Democrats out of it. It's all on us. 8 GOP House reps were able to get the Speaker of the House out. Now, are we any closer to having a Speaker? Steve Scalise was the internal leader. He dropped out and he has cancer. It's treatable, ABL. I understand, but he dropped out. Jim Jordan, many of us like him. I like Jim Jordan, but it looks like he's doing worse than Kevin McCarthy did in the first few rounds of voting. And Kevin McCarthy ultimately got ousted anyway. So what's going on? Let's continue.
Bacon said his office has received numerous calls regarding his vote for Speaker, most of those coming from outside of the district. But some anonymous messages about his vote, sent to his wife Angie, have caused the congressman concern.
The campaign to push the Speaker, it's gotten rough and tumble with the phone calls, threats to primaries. And I get all that stuff. It's all right. But you start sending texts to my wife anonymously and calling her anonymously with threats. It's wrong.
One voicemail sent to his wife, which 3 News Now has obtained a copy of.
All right, I'm going to read some of these because they're kind of like skimming through it. It says, talk to your husband, tell him to step up and be a leader and help the Republican Party get a speaker. There's too much going on in the world for all this going on in the Republican Party. You guys take 5 steps forward and then turn around and take 20 steps back.
Now has obtained
I wonder why our party is something.
A copy of, lamented Bacon.
Why is your husband causing chaos by not supporting Jim Jordan? I thought he was a team player. And then she's like, who is this? And this is somebody that has her iPhone because you get the blue messages. Who is this? Oh, you have nothing to say? Your husband will not hold any political office ever again. What a disappointment and failure he is. He has more courage than you. You won't put your name to your statements.
Bacon's lack of support for Jordan.
Please talk sense into your husband. He is destroying the Republican Party. Please. The world needs a united Republican Party.
Okay, first things first, I have been doing a call-in show for many, many years, and shout out to you guys that tune in every Wednesday and Saturday, 8 to 11 Eastern on the channel. I know a drunk person when I hear them over the phone. This person is about 15 Coors Lights deep when they made this phone call.
Every time they take 5 steps forward, they end up taking 20 steps backwards. Please. Talk sense into his head, please.
Bacon isn't just sharing his frustration with the media. He's calling on Jordan to condemn the behavior of his supporters in order to respect his family's privacy.
You have things like this go on, it's not right. And we just need to put light on it. But Mr. Jordan needs to make clear that this behavior is wrong. And there's been a bullying campaign.
Bacon believes the campaign for Speaker has damaged the Republican Party. He said the wounds will take time to heal, but he isn't giving up on finding common ground amongst his fellow Republicans.
Now, we could pause it right here. There's more to that, but I'll link to that in the box. We need to get to some more phone calls. Now, some are going to say, hey, ABO, what I just heard wasn't very threatening. It was kind of mundane. The guy was about 46 Bud Lights deep before he made the phone call. I understand. Now, again, this may or may not be legitimate, but we're getting quite a few of the same allegation from different members of the House. So I think at a certain point, there is some real threatening things going on here. Let's check it out.
I have some exclusive audio right now of a threatening message that was left as a voicemail for the wife of one of the Republican lawmakers who opposes Jordan. This has only been edited to take out identifying information of the wife and the lawmaker. We've bleeped out some of the language, but not all of it. And I want to warn you, this is pretty ugly stuff. Take a listen.
Why is your husband such a pig? Why would he get on TV and make an asshole of himself? Because he's a deep state prick? Because he doesn't represent the people? So what we're going to do is we're going to come follow you all over the place. We're going to be up your ass nonstop. We are now Antifa. We're going to do what the left does because your of a husband gets on TV. Oh, the bad guys, they did so. I'm going to vote for Kevin McCarthy, a piece of shit who everybody knows. And for his piece of shit ass to talk about Americans who are actually fighting for Americans as the bad people, says everything about him. So you, your husband, and we're not like the left. We aren't violent, but we're going to follow your ass. Every appointment you have, everything you do.
Wow. So, okay. Now the question is, first of all, the first question, is it legitimate? Is it a real phone call? Second, who's making the phone call? Regular person in the street? somebody in the government what's going on, because from what I've read, some of the House reps are accusing Jim Jordan and his allies of being behind some of these threats. So I'm not really sure who's making the phone call or what's going on, but it seems pretty threatening. And you may ask, why are they bleeping out the F word and not the S word? Well, they say the F word is an action, but the S word isn't. That's what I read a long time ago. I could be wrong.
Your husband's an asshole. You should talk to his stupid ass. We're at war. Israelis being killed, and your dumb husband is acting like a 2-year-old. No wonder. He's a warmonger, piece of shit. So listen, you're going to keep getting calls and emails. I'm putting all your information over the internet now. Everybody else is, and you will not be left alone because your husband, Jim Jordan, or more conservative, or you're going to be molested like you can't ever imagine. And again, non-violently.
Non-violently, okay. Cool.
You won't go to the beauty parlor. Now, you must be a bitch to marry a ugly mother like that.
With me now to discuss.
That's pretty rough. That's pretty rough. I mean, and the thing about it is, as I close, if these phone calls are indeed legitimate and not working, because Jim Jordan, again, the third round of voting today, which is Saturday, October the 20th, Friday, October the 20th, 2023, he did worse than the second time, and the second time he did worse than the first time. So I don't see how he's going to do better the fourth time. If we just observe the pre-existing pattern, he's going to do worse the fourth time. Phone calls or no phone calls. But as I close, I want to say this. Let's just get somebody in there. I mean, as I said from the beginning, and I know some of you guys don't like it, but I think that I'm correct in my opinion here. Should have kept Kevin McCarthy in there, because whoever the speaker is going to be will have to make concessions. It's simple. We don't have the White House, we don't have the Senate, and we barely have the House. In order for you to be able to get anything accomplished, you must make concessions. If we had the White House, if we had the Senate, or if we had a larger majority in the House, then all these concessions would not be necessary. But if was a fifth, we'd all be drunk. And I don't know about y'all, but I'm sober as sober it can be. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's your take on what's happening here with these phone calls? Do you think they're legitimate, illegitimate? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. I think that there is some legitimacy to these phone calls. The question is, who's making them? Are we talking about just normies out there on the internet who just happen to find somebody's phone number through a Google search? Are we talking about people in DC, in the government? Are they behind the phone calls? It's kind of hard to tell. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.